Next up, I want to introduce you guys to Bill Shakowski. Bill is a part of the Solomon Foundation, and again, is just another arrow in the quiver of financial help to churches. And the Solomon Foundation is a missional organization that really exists to serve the local church. And so I want you guys to welcome Bill as he comes and shares with us today.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Great to be here. I want to start by propping up and thanking BGW and S&B, great ministry partners of ours, great organizations that do some amazing work out there. Been a part of many of their projects now, and always look forward to working with them and the partnership. It's funny, I everybody seems to have that theme. In financial, it's very easy to be labeled, and Chris mentioned this too, as a transaction. And we are a ministry partner. When I go through a little bit of the slide, you're going to see that it's very important to us that we don't come in, talk to you about money, hand off some money, come back at the end and see what the money did. That's not what we're here for. We would actually rather not be a part of that. So, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here, and we'll go ahead and get you involved and familiar with what the Solomon Foundation does. I'm just going to go through the slides, and as there's a lot of information here, and it will provide us an opportunity to familiarize you. Doug Crozier is our CEO down there to the left, the other name that they were using this for a different platform. Doug started the Solomon Foundation a little over 12 years ago, and we are what's referred to as a church extension fund. Church extension fund, we do two things. We take in deposits from folks in the churches, and we pay great rates on those deposits, and we take those deposited funds and we loan them to churches, and those are the two things that we do. We have a specific line of churches that we can work with, unlike most of the folks that are going to be up here today who don't have any, let's say, government limitations on who they can help. We actually do. We are regulated, and I'll get into that at the end because I want to make sure that if you're one of those churches that you can talk to me, and if you're not, you can still talk to me, but unfortunately there would be a potential that we couldn't help you. So I want to make sure that we get to that when I finish up here. Our core values are very important. I think for a financial institution, for the number one core value to be to honor God is tremendous, and I see that every day, and we all really do establish that in our lives, help people come to know Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Again, as a financial institution, haven't talked about money yet, and we're on core value number 2. The help our investors get a great rate of return. If you look at the church extension funds that are out there, depending on where you are as a church, the Methodist has a fund, Presbyterian has a fund, Baptists have a fund, the Christian churches have 3 funds. You can take a look at ours, and it's never a contest, but there's always a way to go versus a way maybe not to go. So we take pride in knowing that we're honoring God by helping our investors get a great rate of return, helping churches get to the next step. That's the big one. That's what we're here talking about today. Next steps. I would assume if you're here today and you're a church, you're looking to get to the next step, and you came to the right place. The final one, number 5, is to have fun. We certainly, at the end of the day, we as an organization certainly do that. The statistical scenario on kind of where we've been in 11 years, fastest growing church extension fund in America, and that has really been every year since the existence in 2012 or 2011 when we started. It's been every year. Over 7,000 investors, 10,000 accounts, 400 churches to this point have been helped. We're headed to $1 billion. We're scheduled to hit $1 billion early next year in assets. So those are some things that have been really good for the organization, for the kingdom. For kingdom expansion is really what this is all about. A lot of churches that have expanded in the movement. 33 new facilities opened up in 2021. You think about that. That was a big COVID year. If we all remember, we're not going to want to remember it that way, but sitting here today, we go, wow, 33 new facilities in a COVID year. So that was a lot of hard work, and we went through a lot of hurdles that I'm sure that everyone in this room can relate to. 15 of those 33 churches, by the way, were portable before they were one of the 33. So 15 of those are in facilities now, and they were set up tear down ahead of that. Being an elder in a set up tear down church right now in Arapahoe County, Colorado, where it costs between $750,000 and $1 million to buy a commercial acre of land, and over $350 a square foot to buy a building, or to build one from ground up. You can imagine my coveting everywhere I go, because we've the best building we ever purchased, and I refer to it as a plug and play, for a church in Jacksonville, Florida. It was a 25,000 square foot plug and play church building for a Church of Christ, and for $19 a square foot, they moved in and had church the Sunday after they closed. So the contrast that I see is just tremendous. But yeah, to get churches in that are set up tear down is really a model that we're looking to continue. Again, a few of these, I'll just go through really quickly on some of these. No delinquent loans. That's a really big one, considering we have over 400 in the pipeline. Solid spread between loan yield and cost of funds. I mean, these are really just, why would you want to work with the Solomon Foundation? Why would you want to even partner with the Solomon Foundation? Well, because there's a lot of good financial, we have a very good financial foundation, is what this is all showing you. We do grants. We grant back. We basically tied to our churches. So those are, I've got one in New Orleans I'm going to be at next weekend. It is a prison re-entry ministry and Church of Christ in New Orleans. An amazing God story. We were able to purchase them an assisted living facility that really should have never even been available. And they're moving their 60 guys in that are coming out of prison that they've been working with through this program. It's called Keep It Real. And next Sunday, myself and our field rep get to give them their $5,000 grant. So, I mean, just things like that are what we do, and it's really amazing. 150,000. These are the good numbers now. 150,000 more people, and it's really approaching 200 in church because facilities came about. So that's where that number is. Like I said, it's closer to 200,000 at this point. Over 40,000 baptisms in those churches. Again, this kingdom expansion is what this is all about. So it's really amazing. What we really focus on is bang for buck. So I'll just run through a few of these. Big box phenomenon has really taken any building that's been abandoned. The retail buildings, the big box, is kind of where this came from. And we've just done so many of those, and we do so many of those. Why the retail stores are in decline and why the big box phenomenon is such a big deal. So for those of you that are thinking, what's the next step look like? It may not be a ground up build. It may be a renovation. So there's a lot of this kind of thing going on, and what it does, it creates more empty spaces. You'll see it as you drive around any metro area. And those are opportunities that we really like sinking our teeth into, because maybe you'll be the next one to get the $19 square foot plug and play. Move on to this next one. Yeah, again, grocery stores, we've got, it's been amazing how many of those we've been able to convert. And you'll see, this is one of my favorites, because really, a lot of folks lack vision, and you drive by something and you go, well, what could that possibly become? Well, that could possibly become that. And now in Lincoln, Nebraska, this church serves over 1,000 people in a weekend. And so it's really incredible. There's the inside of it. And that also is a basketball floor. That's a basketball court, full court basketball in that facility. Helping people to find and follow Christ. One of the things that we learned at Solomon Foundation is it's not about the people that are already in the church. It's about the lost. And when you're trying to look at next steps, what do next steps look like? It's what do we need to do to upgrade. Again, the facility isn't the tool or the key. It's the body of believers within the facility that goes out and brings the other folks in. That's really what we're looking for. That's the model. That's the success that we're all hoping that we're going to see and that we do see. And that's where our 7,000 investors really do, pride themselves and love what it is they do and investing with us. But, finding and following Jesus is again, number one, always will be. These are just some of the facilities. The top is an old 80,000 square foot broken down. It was a tennis and racquetball facility. This is 242 Community Church in Brighton, Michigan. And they've got 6 campuses now and see well over 10,000 people a weekend. So phase after phase after phase. And it's just been amazing what they've been able to do at 242 with the backing of the folks that invest at the Solomon Foundation. This was a Home Depot, 92,000 square feet in in Portland, Maine, and they converted it, and you'll see some of what they were. We're moving right on to Poland here. Sorry, I should be more familiar with this, but we just put this one together. We've actually helped a church in Poland, and to give you a little bit of insight, this church right now is 100% Ukraine relief. They've turned their entire facility, all of their church. They have 200 Ukrainian immigrants that they're helping already, and that are staying and living in this facility right now. So they have really shifted to that. We just sent, as an organization, we deal with 3 organizations through this church, and we just sent $10,000 to each of them as a grant from Solomon Foundation to help with their efforts there with that just horrible situation over in Europe. These are just some more opportunities that you'll see to convert facilities or to just go from not having a facility. This church was 64 people 7 years ago. We got them a small plug-and-play building that they did a little bit of work to. They got up to 240 in there, and then a church across town was having some real problems, and they bought a 32,000 square foot building, inherited about 400 people from that church, and now they're a church around 1,400. So we have just some great stories of what can happen when you get involved with the Solomon Foundation, and we're able to just walk alongside this church here in Conway, South Carolina. Sorry about that. I could just go on and on about this one. They're on phase 3 now. We've got phase 4 being designed, which is a 35,000 square foot addition to that 30,000 square foot church right now. So it's just been amazing what God's really been able to do and what God has done to this point. This is a church that met in a high school for 12 years until they were able to put a building up out in Strasburg, Colorado. And back to Don's point, this one sat in planning, zoning, development, and the whole 9 yards, 2 different counties, all kinds of back and forth, 6 years. Took 6 years. So that was a ground up. The big box renovations tend to go a lot quicker. So for those of you that think that might be a route or a path, we could certainly talk about that. The refinery in Phoenix, they're one that's blown up. They're doing 5 services now because they didn't build a big enough building. So we're talking to them about phase 2 as well. And this one's got college dormitories. They have a deal with Southern University in Georgia, and they've got 60 of the students living in dorms in their facility, and it's a whole, they have to sign a faith agreement, and it's just amazing what they're doing in that facility there in Carrollton, Georgia, excuse me. And then this finally is a 65,000 square foot Church of Christ that was literally, if you look to the left, right, or behind, you'll see all the trees. Well, that was 14 acres wooded when we started. Just amazing what was able to happen there. And this is their lead pastor, Orpheus Hayward, cutting the ribbon. I was actually blessed to be there that day, took that picture. And this is our home in Parker, Colorado. I did want to spend the back end of my time talking about what is a church extension fund and how we do help in how we can work with churches and what that alignment looks like. In 1933, the Securities Act that came out provided an opportunity for churches to be able to help themselves financially. And it was the kind of the format that I mentioned earlier. Folks bring money in, that money pays rates to those folks back, and then the way they were able to do that is to loan it and to help churches grow. And with the difference, that's what they operate on, and that's called a spread. And that's what we work off of. But what that did is it had a specific denominational impact at the time, and still does. So we're regulated by all 50 states and the federal government, and we're only allowed to work in the loan capacity with churches in what we refer to as the Independent or Restoration Movement Christian Church, Church of Christ, and then there's some independent community churches that we also can work with. But when it comes down to denominations, I mentioned it earlier, the Methodist, the Lutheran, the Presbyterian, the Baptist, they all have their own funds. They do similar things to what we do, but we're all different in our vision and our stand on how we do things. So what I say about the Solomon Foundation is we are very visionary. We will work with churches that a lot of them will not, as far as where you are financially. We come up with a lot of solutions. We don't come and tell you about what your problems are. We try to bring solution. I walk alongside you from a construction management standpoint, from development all the way through completion, as does my associate Tom Vick. And we also have regional representatives of the organization that come along and work with you in the ministry side to talk about, well, now that you have a facility, what are you going to do with it? What's the best way to do this, that, and the other thing? Most of our field reps are former megachurch pastors that grew churches from very few folks to a whole bunch. So we have a lot of opportunity there. So again, to wrap up, we are not a transactional banking entity. We are a ministry partner. That's what we. That's certainly our mission, our vision. And if anyone that, again, with the alignment aspect of it in mind, wants to ask me about anything else, come talk to me. I'll be here the rest of the day. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you all. BGW, S&B, great organizations. Y'all can't go wrong by being here today. So thank you very much. God bless.